If you have ever driven past an Amish farm, you have probably noticed something. The gardens are tidy, the walkways are clean, and there is barely a weed in sight, all without a single bottle of fancy weed killer from the store. So naturally, the internet decided there must be some secret Amish trick that wipes out every weed instantly. And yes, there are a few old-fashioned methods that work fast, faster than you would believe. But there is also a catch those viral videos never mention. And if you miss it, you can wreck your lawn instead of saving it. So today I want to separate the real old-time wisdom from the exaggeration, show you which of these methods actually work, where, and how, and hand you the honest version of the Amish way to a weed-free yard. The real Amish approach does not start with a spray bottle, and it definitely does not start with a miracle. It starts with a way of thinking about the land that most of us have forgotten. For generations, farmers who could not just drive to the store for chemicals had to control weeds with whatever they had on hand. Boiling water off the stove, vinegar from the pantry, a sharp hoe, their own 2 hands, and most of all, patience and good habits, season after season. So when you hear people talk about the Amish way, they are really describing 2 different things bundled together. The first is a set of simple, low-tech methods that knock down a weed right now, today, on the spot. The second, and this is the part that actually keeps their ground clean, is a prevention system that stops most weeds from ever showing up in the first place. The viral videos only show you the dramatic first half. Let's walk through it together, method by method, and I will tell you honestly which ones belong in your yard and which ones will burn you. We will start with the simplest one of all, and it might be the most honest trick on this whole list. Boiling water. You heat up a kettle or a pot on the stove. Carry it out to a weed and pour it right over the top. That is it. And this is the part that makes people gasp in the videos. It genuinely does work instantly. The scalding water cooks the plant tissue on contact. The leaves collapse within minutes, and a small weed will often be dead by the next day, roots and all. No chemicals, no cost, nothing but water. So the viral clip is not lying to you about this one. But watch where they pour it. In every good version of this trick, that boiling water is going onto a weed growing in the cracks of a patio, along a gravel path, or in the seams of a driveway. There is a reason for that. Boiling water cannot tell a weed from your grass any better than anything else can. Pour it across your lawn, and you will cook a dead brown circle right into your good turf. So boiling water earns a real spot in your toolkit, but only for the hard surfaces, the cracks, and the edges, never out in the open lawn. Next up is the one your grandmother probably swore by: plain white vinegar. The vinegar in your kitchen is about 5% acetic acid, and that acid burns the waxy surface of a weed leaf and dries it out. On a hot, sunny day, sprayed directly onto a young, tender weed, ordinary vinegar can brown it out within hours. Again, fast and real. But it comes with 2 big asterisks. First, just like the boiling water, vinegar is not selective. It will scorch your grass and your flowers right alongside the weed, so it is a spot treatment for cracks and bare ground, not a lawn spray. Second, and this is the one people get wrong, kitchen vinegar mostly burns the top of the plant. It often does not reach down and kill the root of an established weed, so that dandelion or that patch of clover comes right back a week later. There is a stronger horticultural vinegar, around 20 to 30%, that hits much harder. But that stuff is genuinely caustic. It can burn your skin and your eyes in a hurry, so you handle it with gloves and eye protection, or you leave it alone. Vinegar is a fine spot tool for young weeds on a sunny day. It is not the lawn miracle the thumbnail promised. And that gap, the fact that these quick tricks handle a weed in a crack, but nothing out on your actual lawn, is exactly why I put together Larry's 30-day weed kill protocol. It is the simple day-by-day plan I follow in my own yard to clear weeds out of the grass itself, safely, without cooking my turf. It shows you how to identify the 7 most common lawn weeds, which method or product to use on each one, and the exact timing that makes it stick. It is written in plain English, the same way I talk to you right here, with no filler. It normally sells for $47, but for folks watching this video, it is just $17. You will find the link down in the description, and that QR code on your screen takes you straight there. Go ahead and pause for a second, snap a picture of it with your phone, and you can start tonight. All right, let's get back to the old-fashioned methods, because the next one comes with a serious warning. That next one is salt, and I need you to hear me out on this, because it is the most misunderstood trick of them all. Yes, salt kills weeds. You sprinkle it on a weed, or you mix it with water and pour it on, and the salt pulls the moisture right out of the plant and kills it. The old-timers absolutely used it. But watch what the videos leave out, and it is a big one. Salt does not just kill the weed. It poisons the soil itself, sometimes for years. Nothing wants to grow in salted ground. Rain can wash it sideways into your lawn and your flower beds and kill those too. Trust me on this one, I have seen folks salt a weedy patch in their yard and end up with a bare, dead scar they could not get grass to grow in 2 seasons later. So when the Amish and the old farmers used salt, they used it in one specific place. On paths, gravel drives, and cracks where they never wanted a single thing to grow. Ever. That is the only place salt belongs. If you want that weed gone, but you ever hope to grow grass or plants in that spot again, salt is the last thing you should reach for. It works, but the price is a patch of dead dirt. Handy for a gravel driveway. A disaster in a lawn. Along the same lines as the boiling water, there is an even older trick that farmers have leaned on for over a century, and that is fire. Flame weeding. These days you can buy a small propane torch made just for this job, but the idea is ancient. You pass the flame quickly over a weed, just for a second or two. That sudden burst of heat ruptures the cells inside the leaves and cooks the plant right on the spot, the same thing the boiling water does. And within a day or two, the weed wilts and dies. It works fast, it uses no chemicals, and it is genuinely satisfying on a patio full of weeds in the cracks. But you can probably guess the rule by now. This one is for hard surfaces only: gravel, stone, concrete, and bare paths. Never your lawn or a dry garden bed. An open flame near dry grass or mulch is how a small chore turns into a real problem. So you only do it on a calm day, away from anything that can catch, with a hose or a bucket of water close by, and never when things are bone dry. Used carefully on the right surface. A flame weeder is a fast, old-school way to keep your cracks and edges clean. Used carelessly, it is a fire hazard, so you respect it. Now, up to this point, every method has come with the same warning: keep it off your lawn. So you might be wondering what the Amish actually do out in the open, where the good plants grow. This is where we get to the real heart of it, and it is so simple that people overlook it entirely. They pull the weeds by hand, and they use a hoe. I know that is not the exciting answer anybody clicked for, but think about that for a second. Hand pulling and hoeing are the only methods on this whole list that are truly selective. Your hand knows the difference between a dandelion and a blade of grass. A sharp hoe slices out exactly the weed you aim it at, and leaves everything around it standing. And it is instant in the way that actually matters. The weed is gone the moment you are done. The old trick that makes this easy is timing. You weed after a good rain or a watering, when the soil is soft and moist, and the whole root slides out instead of snapping off. For a hoe, the Amish favorite is a stirrup hoe, sometimes called a scuffle hoe, that you push and pull just under the soil surface to slice young weeds off at the root. Do a little every few days while the weeds are small, and you never face a jungle. It is not glamorous, and no one is putting it in a viral video. But steady handwork is the honest backbone of every weed-free Amish garden you have ever admired. And here is a piece of old-timer knowledge that makes all of that handwork pay off. because not every weed fights back the same way. Weeds come in two basic types, and knowing which is which changes how you deal with them. Annual weeds, like crabgrass and chickweed, live for a single season, drop their seeds, and die. If you pull them or hoe them before they go to seed, you genuinely get ahead of them, because you are cutting off the next generation. Perennial weeds are the stubborn ones. Dandelions, clover, and bindweed come back year after year from roots and runners that live underground right through the winter. Snap the top off a dandelion and leave that deep taproot behind, and it just grows a fresh plant in a couple of weeks. This is the real reason the instant sprays and the boiling water disappoint people out on the lawn. They knock down the top, but on a perennial the root is still sitting down there, alive and waiting. So with the tough perennials, you either dig the whole root out with a weeding fork, or you hit them at the right growth stage with a treatment that travels down into the root and finishes it. Match your effort to the type of weed, and you stop repeating the same job over and over. There is one more old-fashioned product worth knowing about because it points straight at the smarter half of the Amish way. It is called corn gluten meal, a byproduct of milling corn, and gardeners have used it for generations as a natural weed preventer. What makes it clever is how it works. Corn gluten does not kill weeds you can already see. Instead, when you spread it on the lawn at the right time, it stops many weed seeds from forming healthy roots as they try to sprout. In plain terms, it is a natural pre-emergent, a barrier that heads weeds off before they ever come up. As a bonus, it is roughly 10% nitrogen, so it gently feeds your grass at the same time. Now I am going to be straight with you because I always am. Corn gluten is not as strong as a synthetic pre-emergent, and it works best when you use it consistently over a few seasons, rather than expecting a miracle the first spring. The timing has to be right too. Put down in early spring before weed seeds germinate, not after. But for folks who want to lean natural, it is a genuine time-tested tool. And notice what it really teaches you. The old wisdom leaned much harder on preventing weeds than on killing them. And that brings us to the single most important old-time principle of them all, the one the Amish live by without ever calling it a technique. Never leave bare ground. A weed seed needs open soil and sunlight to sprout, so the old approach was to simply never give it either one. In the garden, that means mulch. A few inches of wood chips, straw, or shredded leaves spread over the soil blocks the sunlight, smothers the weeds that try to come up, and keeps the ground cool and moist for the plants you actually want. For a really weedy patch, the old-timers would lay down cardboard or thick newspaper and pile mulch on top, smothering everything underneath over a few weeks with no chemicals at all. On the lawn, the same idea shows up as thick, dense grass. Every bare patch you fill in with healthy turf is one less open seat for a weed to claim. It is not instant, and no, I am not going to pretend it is. But smothering and covering is the quiet workhorse behind that clean Amish ground, and it costs almost nothing but a little effort up front. Cover the soil, and you win the weed battle before it ever starts. So let's put the whole picture together and answer the question in the title honestly. Does the old Amish way remove weeds instantly? For a single weed in a driveway crack, yes. Boiling water or vinegar will drop it in minutes, and that part is completely real. But does it remove all the weeds from your lawn instantly in one dramatic afternoon? No. And now you understand exactly why. Every fast, instant method on this list shares the same flaw. It cannot tell a weed from your grass, so you can only use it on hard surfaces and bare ground, never across the lawn you're trying to protect. The genuine secret behind that spotless Amish ground comes down to a patient system built on 4 simple habits. Keep the soil covered so weeds cannot start. Feed the ground and grow the grass thick so weeds have nowhere to move in. Pull and hoe the few that slip through while they are still small, right after a rain when the roots come clean out. And time your prevention for early spring, before the seeds ever wake up. Do those things across one season, and you end up with exactly what those farms have. Ground so healthy and so full that weeds simply run out of room. It's simpler than you think. It just asks for consistency instead of a shortcut. Now let me make that practical, because I do not want to leave you with just a philosophy. Here is how you actually put the honest Amish way to work in your own yard, starting this week. First, raise your mower. For most lawns, cutting on the taller side, around 3 inches, lets the grass shade the soil and starve out weed seeds, doing the smothering job for you automatically. Second, water deeply but not too often, so your grass grows deep, strong roots that outcompete shallow weeds. Third, fill your thin and bare spots by overseeding, ideally in the fall, so weeds never get that open ground to claim. Fourth, keep a kettle handy and a little vinegar on the shelf for the cracks in the driveway. And keep a good stirrup hoe by the back door for a quick pass through the beds every few days. And fifth, if weeds have really taken over the lawn itself, that is when you reach for a proper selective treatment. One made to kill the weed while leaving your grass unharmed, applied at the right time. And one more old habit that pays off all season: keep a clean cut edge between your lawn and your garden beds. A crisp trench edge, sliced in with a half-moon edger or a flat spade, gives creeping weeds and grass runners a hard boundary they cannot easily cross, so your beds stay your beds and your grass stays your grass. It takes 10 minutes a few times a year and saves you hours of pulling. That last piece, the timing and the right product for each weed, is the part folks struggle with most, and it is exactly what my protocol lays out day by day. Old wisdom for prevention. The right modern tool for the tough cases. That combination is how you actually win. So the next time you drive past one of those tidy Amish gardens with barely a weed in sight, you will know the real story behind it. It was never a secret spray or a magic instant cure. It was boiling water for the cracks, a sharp hoe for the beds, mulch over every bit of bare ground, and the patience to do a little at a time so it never piled up. The instant tricks in those viral videos are real, but they are small tools for small jobs, and using them wrong can leave you with a dead patch you will regret. The thick, clean, weed-free yard you actually want does not come from one dramatic afternoon. It comes from a handful of simple old habits, done at the right time, season after season. And the best news of all is that any homeowner can do every bit of it. You do not need to be a farmer, and you do not need to be Amish. You just needed somebody to tell you the honest version. And if you want the timing and the products mapped out for you so you never have to guess, that is the whole point of Larry's 30-day weed kill protocol. It is the same day-by-day plan I use. It covers the 7 weeds that cause most of the headaches, and right now it is $17 instead of $47. Here is the honest reason not to wait. Weeds work on a calendar, and the prevention steps only work if you get them down before the seeds wake up in spring. Miss that window, and you are chasing weeds all summer instead of preventing them. Grab it from the link in the description, or scan the QR code on your screen, and get your yard on the right schedule. Now go take a look at that weedy spot you have been meaning to deal with, and I will see you in the next one.